You know that person who goes completely silent the moment someone says, "So, how's the weather?" The one who'd rather stare at their phone than talk about weekend plans with someone they'll never see again. The one who's been called rude, distant, cold, just because they don't do the whole, haha yeah, busy routine. That person isn't being difficult. They're being honest. And today, we're breaking down the psychology of people who genuinely cannot stand small talk. The one society calls antisocial, but science calls something else entirely. Here's the thing. Most people treat small talk like social glue. A warm-up. A way to fill silence before something real happens. And for a lot of people, it works just fine. But for others, and you probably know exactly who you are, small talk doesn't feel like a warm-up. It feels like a wall. A performance where everyone already knows their lines and nobody actually means anything they're saying. Psychologists call this need for cognitive depth. Some people's brains are wired to seek meaning in conversation the same way other people seek comfort in routine. When that depth is missing, the interaction doesn't feel neutral. It feels draining, almost physically uncomfortable. But it goes deeper than just personality preference. People who hate small talk often score high in a trait called openness to experience. They think in layers. They connect ideas across different subjects. Their brains are essentially running on a different frequency, and small talk, with its surface-level scripts, feels like trying to listen to a symphony through a broken speaker. There's also something called rejection sensitivity. Some people hate small talk not because they dislike people, but because they're hyper-aware of inauthenticity. Every, "I'm good, how are you," that nobody means feels like a tiny lie. And for people who value honesty almost instinctively, even small lies feel like sandpaper on the brain. Here's something that might surprise you. Research shows that people who prefer deep conversation over surface-level chat tend to report higher levels of life satisfaction. Not because they talk more, but because when they do talk, it actually means something. One real conversation can carry them for days. One genuine exchange can feel like more connection than 100, "We should catch up soon," texts that never go anywhere. And let's be honest, we live in a world that runs on small talk. Elevators, office kitchens, family dinners where nobody says what they're actually thinking. For someone wired for depth, navigating that world every single day isn't just boring. It's exhausting. Like being fluent in one language and being forced to only ever speak in another. Now, some people's hatred of small talk comes from a more complicated place. Social anxiety that makes casual conversation feel high stakes. Past experiences of being misunderstood, laughed at, or dismissed when they actually opened up. So they built a wall, not out of arrogance, but out of protection. If the conversation never gets real, it can never really hurt. So it's worth asking yourself, do you avoid small talk because silence feels more honest, or because depth feels too risky to offer anymore? Because one is self-awareness. The other is self-protection that's quietly becoming isolation. But for the people who genuinely just crave depth, they're not cold. They're not antisocial. They're actually some of the most intensely loyal, curious, and present people you'll ever meet, once you get past the surface. They just need you to skip the script. Ask them something real. Something they've never been asked before. Watch how fast they light up. That's not a reserved person. That's someone who's been waiting for a conversation worth having. They don't do small talk, but they'll stay up until 3 a.m. talking about why people are the way they are. They'll forget your birthday and remember the exact thing you said 6 months ago that you thought nobody heard. They're selective, yes. But when they're in, they're fully in. So if you're someone who freezes when someone asks any plans this weekend, but comes alive the moment the conversation goes somewhere unexpected, you're not broken. You're just built for meaning over manners, for truth over pleasantries. Tell me, do you hate small talk, or do you think some people just use depth as an excuse to avoid being vulnerable? And if this video made you feel understood in a way most conversations don't, the next one is going to go even further. Click it. You'll see why.